All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about cymbal pricing, and more specifically, I'm going to talk about as a drummer, not necessarily as a cymbalsmith, but as a drummer, what do I look for when I want to get a certain sound in my arsenal? And if I wasn't a cymbalsmith, how would I approach buying my gear? Now, it's kind of impossible for me to divorce the fact that I am a cymbalsmith and I know how these instruments are made. So I'm going to try in the most tactful way to discuss this and maybe give you a few pointers, a few ideas for how you can look at the cymbal market and maybe sort through some of the marketing stuff that's thrown at you and really discern what kind of sound should you aim at. If you've been a drummer for any number of years, you might be the kind of drummer that just buys and sells because you're searching for that sound. You're searching for the Holy Grail ride. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to drummers that are like, yeah, I'm just looking for that sound. I got this cymbal, it didn't work, I sold it. I got this cymbal, it didn't work, I sold it. I'm just still looking. I got this stuff and it works for me for now, but I'm still looking. You know, that's a common thing that I hear in this industry. So a very small amount of backstory on cymbals themselves. Most middle of the road to super expensive cymbals are made with B20 bronze. B20 bronze is B20 bronze. The formula is the same, but how they turn that copper and tin into the blank really does determine how the sound's going to be, even before we get to the point of hand hammering or machine hammering or profile pressing and then lathing to finish it. So when you look on the market, you'll see cymbals that are made from B20 that are very reasonably priced, and then you'll see other ones that are twice as much or even more than twice as much the cost. And so what's going on there? To me, it all comes down to the process. Many companies have developed systems for being able to put out their cymbals in high quantities, and they do their best to market series and lines and make those sounds as close as they can be. But as a lot of us know, it can be wildly different. One 21-inch ride that has a certain title can be night and day different than another one that's labeled the same exact way. So when we're looking to buy a cymbal, we have to sort through that. And there is no better answer to this entire question than you got to hear it in person. That's the difficulty of the world we live in today. Most of it's done online. Most of us are buying our cymbals based off of sound clips, and there's different mics that are used, different processing that's done. Sometimes the sound is colored. We don't know. We can't know what a company is using to record their cymbal. So in a lot of ways, as a drummer, I've spent a lot of time trying to translate the sound I'm hearing on a video and I'll think ahead and see, how does that sound in person? And there's ways of doing that. When you've been doing it long enough, you start to pick up on certain traits, and then you can sort of discern what would that sound like if I was sitting behind it. So all that to say, best case scenario, you play a bunch of cymbals and you pick the one that feels the best to you. Beyond that, there's the fact that cymbals will sound different in different environments, different rooms, different sticks, different technique, all of that. It's really infinitely complex, which I think leads to why it's so hard to find your sound, why it's so hard to find that cymbal that you love, that you'll stick with for years, play it for a really long time and use it on all your gigs. It's really, really complicated and really difficult to do. So as a drummer, when I'm looking at the cymbal market and I'm looking to buy a certain cymbal, I'm really trying to look past the marketing. I'm trying to look past what the company is telling me about the cymbal, and I'm trying to just hear it. A lot of times we look for, our favorite drummer plays this cymbal. That means if I get that cymbal, I'll sound like my favorite drummer. That's not the case ever, because your favorite drummer is a different person than you. They've got a different skill set. They've got different life experiences. And so it really does come down to what inspires you. What sound do you want to hear? Some companies are better than others at presenting that in a more true and honest sense. And so finding that company and being able to, try out different models, being able to hear it in different rooms, is really, really important. As a cymbalsmith and as a drummer, I'm constantly searching for that sound myself, and I'm doing it via the creation of the actual instrument. At Reverie and with Timothy Roberts cymbals, we do our very best to record them in as accurate a way as possible. We don't add any coloration to the sound, any extra processing that manipulates the sound to make it sound better. We just try to let it be what it is. And with that, internally, we all know that it's actually going to sound even better than the demo when you get it in person, which is the goal. That's not great from a sales perspective because most of it is done online, but that's just a little way that we do it here at Reverie. So all in all, cymbal prices, they're high and they've been going up. And then you have this whole other market that's kind of a race to the bottom. And so you really have to just learn how to discern the differences and look past all of the marketing and find the thing that you like. My advice, trying not to be self-serving here, but my advice is just to find a craftsman or a company that you connect with personally. And you look at you aggregate all the videos of the different models there are, and if you feel like there's a thread within that you connect with as an individual musician, as a drummer, then that might be an indication that, okay, this is the company I want to invest my money into to purchase a cymbal. You're still going to have to deal with the fact that when you get that cymbal, if you're not playing it in person, you're going to have to learn it, and you're going to have to probably deal with a little bit of, oh, this doesn't quite sound like I thought it would based on the video. I don't really think there's any getting around that in today's day and age with us buying our products online. Cymbals are so unique. Everyone turns out differently, especially when it's made in a hand-hammered fashion. They all have their own unique voice. And that's part of the frustration and part of the joy about this entire process is that search. If we all could snap our fingers and have that Holy Grail ride, I don't think it would stay our Holy Grail ride. I think we would evolve as players and we would change. So with that, I kind of think that we should embrace the process, embrace the journey to find that perfect sound, knowing that it doesn't really ever exist. That also relates to our drumming. We are chasing becoming the best drummers we can become. And in a way, there's no way for us to become a true master because music is infinite. Cymbals are infinite in their own kind of way. There's always going to be a slightly better sound or a slightly different sound that you're more attracted to month. I can't tell you how many times my ear has changed through this process of being a musician but also making the instrument. My favorite cymbal one day might be different the next day. All right, I'm going to quickly butt in here because when we were editing the video, I realized I kind of didn't answer the fundamental question, which is why are some cymbals so much more expensive if they're made of the same material? And my simple answer to that is how much time, care, and attention went into the crafting of the instrument. If a cymbal is just made super quickly with a system, it's not finely tuned by a trained cymbalsmith, they can afford to put the cymbal up for a much cheaper price. Whereas if you actually have a trained cymbalsmith with a good ear sitting down to tune the instrument, or there's extra processes that are going on, that's typically where you see that higher price. And it really does translate to the final outcome of the sound. You get a noticeably better sound when there's more time, care, and attention paid to how it's made. It's a deep topic, it's a huge well. I try to just distill it to a really short video, but there's probably more videos that can be made on this topic to flesh out very specific parts of this very interesting art form. So comment below, like the video if you like it, subscribe and hit the bell if you want notifications. Until next time, I'm Timothy Roberts.